There's a stretch of desert in northern Arizona where the wind carries secrets older than this country itself. Locals don't drive that road after dark anymore. They whisper about shapes that move where no tracks should be, lights that don't, belong to any truck, and voices that sound almost human until they call your name in the dead of night. Now, I want you to imagine this. A rust-red pickup idling at a forgotten gas station, the pump still ticking even though no one's around to fill it. The radio static crackles, spitting out half a country song, and then goes dead. Just beyond the flicker of the floodlights, something is watching, standing perfectly still, like it's waiting for you to notice it. This is the story of the night 3 travelers. Tom, his younger sister, Emily, and their war-battered cousin Jack took the wrong turn off Route 160. They were headed for Flagstaff, but a storm rolled in from the mesa. Rain hammered the windshield. Thunder crawled across the sky like a living thing, and the GPS cut out right where the locals say the old Navajo warnings begin. Tom, a ranch hand by trade, thought nothing of the roadside sign. Unpaved. Past this point, no services for 60 miles. But the way Jack gripped the steering wheel told another story. He'd served 2 tours overseas, seen men break under pressure, yet something about that land made his knuckles go white. They found the first tracks near a dry creek bed, cloven, but too wide. And next to them, a barefoot human print, only it was backwards heel where the toes should be. Emily laughed it off, said it was just rain warping the mud, but she kept looking over her shoulder. Later, at the abandoned trading post, they heard it for the first time, a knock. 3 sharp taps on the rusted door, even though the wind outside was still. Jack unholstered the .45 he kept in the glove box, the same one he swore he'd never bring home, and stepped out with a flashlight. There was nothing there but dust, old Route 66 signs, and a single raven perched on the power line. Then came the scream. It wasn't a coyote, wasn't a cougar. It was close, but wrong, like a human throat trying to remember how to howl. By now you should know this isn't just a campfire tale. The U.S. Southwest has places where the old laws still rule, where something ancient walks on stolen skin. They call them skinwalkers, shapeshifters, witches who traded their humanity for the power to wear another's face. And if you think you'd know one when you saw it, you're already wrong. They don't just look like you. They know your voice, your memories, even the way your father used to whistle before dinner. This is what Tom, Emily, and Jack learned on that rain-slick road. Over the next 3 nights, they would leave the truck behind, barricade themselves in a cabin built before the state lines were drawn, and learn which one of them wasn't who they thought. This is their story. And before we're done, you'll understand why some calls for help should never be answered, and why some roads in this country deserve to stay lost. The desert night had a way of turning the familiar into something unnatural. After hours of driving through endless stretches of empty highway, Tom spotted a flicker of light in the distance. A cabin, maybe abandoned, maybe not. The rain had turned to a fine mist that clung to their windshield like spider silk. Emily, exhausted, muttered, "Anywhere but this road. I'm done for tonight." Jack grunted in agreement, knuckles tight on the steering wheel. They pulled up beside the structure, a one-room cabin with warped planks and a crooked chimney. It looked older than the road itself, like it had been built by hands that didn't believe in maps. No tire tracks, no footprints, just silence that pressed on their ears like cotton. Tom killed the engine. For a moment, the world felt hollow, as though even the insects had packed up and left. "Let's just get through the night," he said, more to himself than to them. Inside, the cabin was skeletal, a single table with one leg braced by stones, a fireplace full of ash that smelled like it had burned sage and something sweeter, stranger. The walls were lined with scratches, Not claw marks, not exactly. More like someone dragging a stick or a finger in long, deliberate arcs. Emily set down her bag and whispered, "Why does it feel like we're not supposed to be here?" Jack laughed dryly. "Because we aren't." The first noise came just past midnight, a soft scratch against the window. Not a knock, not a branch. Too careful, too measured. Tom glanced at the others. Neither moved. Then came the second, tap, tap, tap. 3 knocks, slow, like a child's game. Jack reached for the lantern. "Coyote, maybe," he muttered, though his voice wavered. They went back to uneasy silence, but the air had shifted, heavier, thicker. Tom lay awake on the warped floorboards, counting the seconds between each gust of wind, each shift of the cabin's ancient frame. That's when he heard it, his sister's voice outside. Tom. His. Heart lurched. He turned. Emily was still curled in her sleeping bag, her breath shallow, her hair sticking to her forehead. "Tom, come out here." The voice was clearer now. It was her down to the pitch, the inflection. But it wasn't. He didn't move. His skin prickled with that primal, icy knowing, the kind of fear that doesn't rise, it sinks. Jack stirred. "You hear that?" Before Tom could answer, the truck alarm shrieked. They all shot up. Jack bolted for the door, Tom right behind him. The night outside was still. No footsteps, no wind. Just their truck sitting under the lone beam of a flickering pole light. Its doors were shut. The alarm wailed once, then died. Tom reached for the handle and yanked it open. His stomach turned. The driver's seat was wet, not damp, wet. As if something had sat there dripping rainwater, though the storm had passed hours ago. Emily's voice broke the silence behind them. "Guys, who locked the cabin door?" They turned. The cabin's door, the one they had, left ajar in their panic, was now shut tight. From inside, a faint scraping began again. And then, a laugh. A low, breathy sound, like someone trying to remember how to be human. Jack whispered, "We're not alone out here." Tom didn't say it, but he felt it. Something had followed them, something that knew their names, their faces, and maybe, by dawn, it would know how to wear them. The desert did not forgive trespassers. It just waited, silent and still, until your own heartbeat sounded foreign to you. That night, their second in the cabin, the 3 of them felt it. Something was watching, something learning. Morning brought no comfort. The sky was a flat gray, a colorless lid pressing down on the world. Jack tried to start the truck, but the engine only gave a strangled cough. Emily sat on the steps, staring at the horizon where the road melted into heat mirage. "It's like we never moved at all," she murmured. Tom didn't answer. His mind was still echoing that voice from the night before, the way it had said his name, with a tone only his sister used when they were children. It was perfect. Too perfect. They decided to wait until sunset to try the engine again. The day dragged like an old rope, and the desert heat warped, the air into ribbons. Somewhere past noon, Jack walked to the edge of the clearing, scanning the brush. That's when he saw it, far off, just at the tree line. Emily, or what looked like Emily. "Hey!" he called out, waving. She didn't move, just stood there, her hair lifting slightly as if underwater. "Emily!" he shouted again. Still nothing. Tom came out, squinting against the sun. "Who are you talking to?" he asked. Jack pointed, but the figure was gone. Only the wind replied. That night, the cabin seemed smaller. They decided to sleep in shifts. Jack took first watch by the fire, a rusted hunting rifle across his knees. Tom tried to sleep, but his dreams were not his own. In them, he was walking through the desert barefoot, following a trail of his own footprints, and every time he turned around, the prints were gone. A sharp crack woke him. Jack was standing by the window, whispering. Tom crawled over. "Who are you talking to?" Jack didn't look at him. "She says she's cold," he muttered. "She says let her in." Tom's stomach turned. Emily was still asleep by the wall, her breathing slow. "Jack, step away from the window." Jack blinked as though waking from a trance. His face was pale, his jaw tight. "I swear." She was right there, smiling. Then came the smell, wet iron and sage, the same scent from the fireplace ash. It filled the room like a storm. The fire flickered, then guttered out. And in that heavy dark, a voice whispered, "You called me." It wasn't coming from outside. It was inside the cabin. Tom grabbed Emily, shaking her awake. Jack raised the rifle, his hands trembling. The door creaked open, though none of them moved. In the doorway stood Emily, or at least the shape of her. Her face was wrong, though, too smooth, like it was remembering how to be skinned. Her eyes reflected the dying embers like black glass. Jack stepped forward. "What the hell are you?" It smiled, not with lips, with its whole face stretching in ways a face shouldn't. "I'm the one who answers when you call what doesn't belong here," it whispered. Its voice was all of theirs at once, Tom's, Jack's, Emily's, layered, like broken recordings. Tom felt his muscles lock. The creature tilted its head, and with a crack of bone, it began to mimic Emily's exact posture, her exact breath, her voice saying, "It's me. Let me back in." But the real Emily was behind him, clutching his arm. That was when Tom remembered what the old story said. The Navajo called it Yi Naldlushi, SkinWalker. A thing that wears your face, your kin, your voice, until you let it in. Jack fired. The shot ripped through the doorway, splintering the frame. The shape flickered like smoke and was gone. The night held its breath. Then, from far off in the dark, the same voice called out again, now behind the cabin. Emily whispered, "It's learning." Jack turned, his eyes hollow. "We can't stay another night." And that's when the scratching began again, this time on every wall all at once, not trying to get in, trying to get them to come out. By the third night, the desert no longer felt empty. It felt occupied, ancient, patient, alive in a way that had nothing to do with the three breathing souls inside that wooden shell. The walls of the cabin groaned like an old man's lungs, the scratches now silent but heavy, as if whatever circled them was only waiting for their fear to ripen. Tom sat with the rifle this time. The fire had long since died. They didn't dare light it again after what it seemed to summon. Emily huddled with a blanket around her shoulders, whispering a prayer she barely remembered from her grandmother's farmhouse in Arkansas. Jack stared at the floorboards like they were maps, his thumb rubbing the trigger guard as if it were a rosary. Outside, the desert wind carried a new sound. Not a howl, not a whistle. Laughter, a brittle human laugh, moving in circles. Tom whispered, "It's trying to sound like us now." Jack shook his head. "No, it's not trying anymore. It's practicing." Then, from the back of the cabin, a soft knock. Just one. Then a second at the opposite wall. A third behind them. Slow, patient, intelligent. Emily's breath hitched. "What if it's not outside anymore?" Tom turned, every nerve screaming. The cabin's air felt wrong, stretched, like something invisible was crawling just beneath the skin of the room. He remembered something he had read in a Navajo journal archive online. A skinwalker doesn't break in. It convinces you to open the door, or worse, it convinces the house to. The floor creaked. From the corner, the rocking chair began to move, though no one sat in it. Just a slow, steady rock, like an old man warming his bones. Enough, Jack said, standing, voice cracking like a dry branch. We walk. Now. Emily grabbed his arm. Where? There's no road. The truck's dead. The map is... A whisper cut her off. Emily... It came from the bedroom, but Emily was right there. Tom's blood went cold. He raised the rifle, heart pounding. Don't answer it. The bedroom door creaked open by itself, and in the dark frame stood Jack. But Jack was next to him. The double stepped forward, each movement like an echo caught in slow syrup. Tom, it said perfectly, you know we can't leave. This is where we belong. We called it here. Jack cursed and raised his flashlight. The beam hit its face, and for an instant, its skin rippled like wet clay. Beneath, something darker, longer, leaner. Tom fired. The recoil slammed his shoulder. The thing fell back, not from the bullet, but as if the sound alone offended it. The walls wailed, the desert wailed with them, and in that chaos, the three of them ran. They didn't remember opening the door. One moment they were in, the next the cold desert wind slapped their faces, full of dust that stung like nettles. Behind them, the cabin's windows glowed faintly, each one with a face staring out. They ran until their lungs bled. Morning came like a punishment, a gray, empty plain, the highway just a crooked line in the distance. The truck was gone. The cabin wasn't there anymore, just sand, just a hollow in the earth. Emily fell to her knees, sobbing. Jack looked back only once. We left it, he said. Or maybe it left us. Tom didn't answer. His ears were ringing, but beneath that, a voice still echoed. You called me. Weeks later, safe in a cheap motel in Utah, Tom scrolled through his phone, looking for any trace of that road, that clearing, that cabin. Nothing. No records. No landmarks. Only a new voicemail, marked unknown caller. He pressed play. Static. Then his own voice whispered, "You shouldn't have left me there."